Good morning, St. Francis. It is Wednesday, September the 15th, 2021. Wednesday of the 24th week of the year, but also the memorial of Our Lady of Sorrows. Coming to you still from Wrightsville Beach with this morning that is Hurricane Larry, I believe it is. Yes, is coming by. So have a bit of a interesting morning here on the beach itself, but it still is lovely. Day 3 of priest retreat. Hopefully you're still praying for those priests. Let's see, Our Lady of Sorrows. Our Lady of Sorrows comes into the calendar and comes into the tradition as a devotion. Basically, when people began to realize, they began to think. It was not necessarily realization, but people began to think that God could not care for their condition, that God did not know their sorrows, that God was so totally removed from our humanity that God wouldn't know what it is to be human and to suffer and to be sorrowful again and again, as again people can be. It develops in the Middle Ages when there was a lot of sorrow and a lot of suffering, and again the Blessed Mother becomes sort of the center, the focus of this sorrow. Gone is the strength of the Magnificat. Gone is the determination that the Magnificat speaks. Gone is the courage of this woman to say yes. She just becomes a woman laden with sorrow. It is important that we make a distinction. Remember always that Mary is more than just a mother of sorrows, a woman of sorrows, that she is somebody who moves past the sorrow into the great joy that happens when Christ is risen from the dead, and realizing that everything does take place in some ways for a reason, that God is able to show us if we dare to demand of God that we know the reasons, that God show us the reasons for why things happen in our lives. We are not conditioned to fate. We are not conditioned to chance. We are not conditioned to just be dish rags to be torn about, tossed about and used and abused, and then just basically left in our own sorrows. So in today's readings, we have something very interesting. We have the first reading is the continuation of Paul's letter to Timothy. Again, Paul being delayed, but Paul reminding Timothy and his community of how they are supposed to act as believers. What does it mean to act as a believer, as a Christian in this world? And until he comes, keep acting as a Christian would, recognizing the fact of who Jesus is, what he did, the fact that he died, yes, but the fact that he is also risen from the dead. In the Gospel, we have two choices that are focused upon Our Lady of Sorrows. The first is Mary at the foot of the cross, Jesus on the cross, Mary at the foot of the cross with John, and Jesus saying to John, here is your mother, and mother, there is your son, and Jesus giving Mary to the world as she suffers in the sorrow of her son on the cross. That can be used. The second reading, however, the second choice from the Gospel is a tad bit more powerful because it is Simeon's foreshadowing. It is Simeon's prophecy, his proclamation to Mary when she and Joseph present Jesus at the temple. And basically the focus is here on Jesus, that he is to be assigned to be contradicted, the source of the rise and fall of many in Israel, and that a sword Mary's heart will pierce, but so that the hearts of many others may be revealed. That might be the more appropriate choice for a gospel reading today. Again, the focus is always on Christ. And the focus is always, again, on what will happen when one believes in Christ. That life as we know it will be changed forever. That what we think is practical, what we think is usual, what we think is commonplace, all of a sudden is turned on its head. And the thing the Blessed Mother does, that she allows herself to experience all of those things, so that we might in turn have the courage ourselves to be open to Christ, and to be open to the changes and transformations that the believing in Christ will bring us. If we are not, then our faith is invalid, our faith is in vain, and it's ridiculous for us to believe in anything. But to believe that Christ has the power to transform everything, to turn what is acceptable in status quo on its head, is the heart and soul of what it is that we believe. To become a part of that turning in the world is also a part of Mary's Magnificat, in which, again, the rich are cast down from their thrones, the mighty are sent empty away, the hungry are filled with good things, and those who have found themselves oppressed and downtrodden are all of a sudden raised up to new life and to new light. And may the Lord give you his peace.